Drawing this is easy, and today I will show you how exactly perspective works, and I'm going to briefly explain perspective using 1 up to 5 vanishing points. But you might be asking yourself, what are these vanishing points? Well, I'm glad you asked. A vanishing point is a specific spot on the horizon line where parallel lines appear to converge and disappear as they recede into the distance. And this is exactly what creates the illusion of depth in a 2D drawing. Okay, with the theoretical knowledge of these basic terms, now let's get to practice. And I encourage you to draw alongside me, as you will retain more information this way. So, first up is the 1-point perspective. To get started, as always, we need to draw our horizon line and define where on it should our vanishing point be located. Drawing in 1-point perspective is really straightforward. Firstly, we need to draw a face of a cube that will not be affected by the perspective, as there are no other vanishing points present. Then, we connect each corner of our square with relatively straight lines, and you see that? It already looks like a super long box. But, of course, we don't need it to be that long, so we just slice it where we want it to end, and voila, we have ourselves our first 3D box on a 2D plane. Here I'm showcasing how to draw a perfect 1-to-1 copy of a box, and to do that we need to draw a line coming from two corners ending in their opposing corners, marking an X. The point where those lines meet is the center of that plane of a cube. Now we just need to draw a straight line to mark the center of that side of our plane, and then from two corners once again we draw another line, now going through that center of the side of our square. Then we just connect those lines, and here we have a perfect clone of our box. That said, we now move on to the 2-point perspective. Similarly to the 1-point perspective, we start with our horizon line and we draw, as the name suggests, 2 vanishing points. Now, for starters, let's put a straight line where we want our box to be located. Do pay attention, however, to our vanishing points. We don't want to draw a box too close to either vanishing point, as this will result in a really weirdly, unnaturally distorted box. Now that we have our line, we can begin to connect it to our vanishing points. And then we connect those lines with their opposing vanishing points, and here we have a box in 2-point perspective. That was easy. But what if we want to convey an emotion using the scale of our objects on the scene? Well, our easiest option would be using a 3-point perspective. By adding one more vanishing point, the lines representing the height of an object will also converge, so there won't be any more straight lines anywhere. Well, unless of course we put our box perfectly on the horizon line, or the center of our box just beneath/above our third vanishing point. Here, if you look at the demo, we can begin to draw our box by drawing a line representing center of our cube, starting from the third vanishing point. Then we do the exact same thing we did for the 2-point perspective and finish off by connecting our walls back to the third vanishing point. Here I'm also showcasing why we cannot place the third vanishing point close to the 2 other vanishing points, because, as we can see, we find ourselves drawing a technically correct distorted cube. A safe place to put the third vanishing point can be found by using the distance between the 2 vanishing points on the horizon line as a radius of a circle, and if we put the third point outside said circle, we shouldn't experience much distortion. I guess this wasn't so scary either, but now we can start a more advanced type of perspectives, where one or more of our guidelines will be a curve. For example, in 4-point perspective, we use curved lines for the height of our objects, and then we connect them using our other 2 points, just like how we do it in a regular 2-point perspective. Curvature should increase gradually so that we don't end up with distorted squares. That's why I recommend putting those 2 points somewhat far above our canvas so that we don't experience these distortions. Similarly, 5-point perspective also uses curves, but now we curve both length and height of our objects, with width converging to the 5th vanishing point located on a horizon line, just like how it is in 1-point perspective. Just like in 4-point perspective, I suggest you to keep those points somewhat far from your canvas, as, once again, we don't want to experience strong distortions that will happen if we draw too close to the vanishing points. I will be releasing a speed paint showcasing the use of 5-point perspective really soon, so for you to not miss it, I would highly appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. And with that shameless plug over, I think we can wrap up this week's lesson. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I would love to hear some feedback from you on what I could improve to produce even more engaging art lessons in the future.